Can we give a big round of applause to Cole Caulfield? Because, hey, this guy has actually been improving his play for the Montreal Canadiens the past few games. Ever since getting called back up from Laval, you could really see that this guy has gone out there with just a better headspace. And I think that's kind of what everybody in Montreal wants to see out of a guy like Cole Caulfield, because players of his sort of talent, they kind of need to be there, mentally in order to actually sustain offensive production and all that. And you know what else they kind of need? They need ice time, especially on a 5-on-3. But the Nashville game aside, I didn't want to talk about the Canadiens and their overtime loss last night. I instead wanted to focus on the prospect side of things. Because now that we have Jeff Gorton here, and now that he's in a position where he is not afraid to use that R word, that very, very ominous R word that everybody just absolutely despises, the rebuild, we can focus on the prospects now, right? That's a good idea. Let's talk about the prospects and some of the guys in the QMJHL in particular who have been so good that there is a reason why Montreal fans, especially the ones in Quebec, are just having an absolute ball watching the QMJHL this season. Let's take a look at two 2021 draft picks by the Montreal Canadiens in Josh Roy, taken 5th round, 150th overall by the Habs, as well as Xavier Simoneau. He was taken in the 6th round, 191st overall by the Habs. Let's actually start with Simoneau over here and move on to Roy a little bit later, because Simoneau is actually 20. He was drafted as a double overage player. His first year of eligibility was actually 2019. He wasn't actually taken in 2019 or in 2020 because of his size. He is a 5'7", 179-pound center. And hey, stop me if you've heard this before, a 5'7" forward getting drafted by Montreal? Hey, sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Simoneau, though, even though he was a small guy, he was a very hard to play against, very skilled, and just very determined kind of guy. You love that Paul Byron, Brendan Gallagher kind of play style where the guy, even though he's small, is just willing to go out there and put it all on the line. Xavier Simoneau very much exemplified that game style when he was playing in the QMJHL for the Drummondville Voltigeurs. Now, this season he's playing for Charlottetown, but in the previous few seasons where he was undrafted, he had 57 points in 55 games played, and the next season after that, he had 89 points in 61 games played as the captain of Drummondville. He went undrafted both times, but after a 37-point in 27-game played campaign in 2020-2021, the Montreal Canadiens decided to take a chance. Now, you have yourselves Josh Roy, who is on the complete other end of the spectrum, where Xavier Simoneau was a guy that a lot of people were super hyped for, super excited about, because, man, this guy goes out there, he skates hard, he works hard, he finishes hard. He's skilled, but he also tries his behind off every shift. It's that combination of puck skills, on-puck instincts, and just sheer determination and power of will that makes for such a cheerable guy. You want to cheer for this guy. And as a double overager, finally getting his shot, finally getting drafted, it makes it all the more sweet. Meanwhile, going over onto Josh Roy, this is a completely different story. Yes, last season in the QMJHL for St. John and for Sherbrooke, Josh Roy was a pretty capable point producer. He had himself a total of, let me see if I can do the math right here, 35 points in 35 games played. He was a point-per-game player shared across two teams. He was an absolute goal-scoring machine, though, with Sherbrooke. He also had himself the pedigree of being one of the top QMJHL drafted prospects. He was taken 1st overall by the St. John Sea Dogs in the 2019 QMJHL draft, and as a 6-foot-tall, 187-pound forward who could play all three positions, you would kind of think, okay, this guy had a pretty good season. He was drafted 1st overall in the QMJHL draft. He's got to have some form of like a 2nd or a 3rd round NHL projection, right? I mean, Future Considerations had him at 74th. McKeen's had him at 46, right? Wrong. Josh Roy was selected all the way at 150th overall, mostly because even though he was putting up points, there were very heavy concerns about his engagement in the play, his effort level, and just everything outside of the offensive zone. It's not like in the offensive zone he was an absolute offensive dynamo either. He was just a guy that, you want to talk about the Leon Draisaitl kind of model where you watch this guy, he's not really skating, he's just kind of standing there, he's really slow, and some people are like, okay, what is this guy doing? And eventually you just look at the box score at the end of the game and it's like, oh, he got 3 points, I didn't even notice. Joshua kind of had somewhat of that syndrome going on. And I'm not comparing him to Draisaitl, I'm just using Draisaitl as a very specific case into the type of gameplay that you would expect out of Joshua when you watched him at the QMJHL level, which is why a lot of people were kind of concerned. Now, before we go over onto how these guys have done this season, because we had recapped what they had done before, big word from the sponsor of today's video, it is Manscaped. It's holiday season, and you don't know what to get as a gift or stocking stuffer? Well, today's sponsor, Manscaped, has the tools to guarantee you win this year's stocking stuffer or white elephant competition. Manscaped is the leader in men's below-the-waist grooming, and they have served more than 4 million men worldwide. Get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with the code LEGOROCKS. Ho ho ho, fellas. Naughty or nice, 'tis the season to perform. Manscaped's best-selling product is the Performance Package 4.0, which is at the top of every man's wish list this year. Inside, you'll find their Lawnmower Body Trimmer, the best trimmer on the market, you've heard all about it, the Weed Whacker Ear and Nose Hair Trimmer, and let's not forget about the liquid formulations, the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner to maximize your hygiene routine. Get the Performance Package now to receive 2 free gifts, the Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. Make sure you hurry onto the site to ensure these wild gifts show up before the holiday season, and use code LEGOROCKS for 20% off and free shipping. Be the ballsiest gift giver this year with Manscaped. And so, while Xavier Simoneau was a guy that worked super hard, he was an overage player, a lot of people cheered for this guy, Wah's reputation was on the complete opposite side of the spectrum. Not too engaged, not really all too projectable when you understood, okay, this is what he would normally do in the offensive zone. He would stand around, wait for open pockets of space, slip into the cracks, and then when the puck would get turned over, you would kind of question, okay, what in the world is he doing? That kind of stuff, not really super projectable to the next level. But regardless, the Montreal Canadiens took swingers on both of these two in the 6th and 5th rounds, respectively, of the 2021 draft. But what if I told you that this season, things have kind of flipped around when it comes to the doubters, let's just say. Because right now, in the QMJHL, there is a 3-way tie for first in the league in points. They are between William Dufour of the St. John Sea Dogs with 43 points in 25 games played, Josh Wah of the Sherbrooke Phoenix, 43 points in 23 games played, and Simoneau himself with 43 points in 22 games played. What a list, eh? These guys are Montreal Canadiens prospects, 2 of them at the top of the QMJHL point production list, and they were both drafted last year. Now, Simoneau is a, triple overager now, so he's not really in the same category age-wise as Wah is, but despite the fact that Josh Wah had all these negatives about his game, which is why he dropped down draft boards despite being a first overall QMJHL draft pick a few seasons ago, he's still gone out there and displayed, hey, those skills that allow me to produce points, I still got them, and they're kind of better than before now. Sure, has Josh Wah become a player that is all of a sudden super projectable to the NHL level? You could very well debate not. But you cannot deny the fact that just getting these numbers, proving to the masses that yes, the way this guy produces is effective at this level, it's good enough to actually get him invited to Team Canada at the World Juniors. He had his name included on the preliminary list, and at this point it's like, okay, I don't really know if he's actually going to make the team because there are a lot of really good forwards on that squad, but at the end of the day, just getting that opportunity in and of itself is a really good thing for a guy like Josh Wah. He is still a 5th-round pick for crying out loud, so this isn't really a guy that you should be going in there and expecting the moon and more from. Because how often do 5th-round picks actually translate into NHL success, right? When it comes to Wah, though, a lot of people will talk about his really good shot, his ability to beat goalies cleanly, that's what the Elite Prospect Scouting Report says, his ability to find guys out in front, and his very good ability of just finding open pockets of space, putting himself in that space, and then just finding ways to produce offense from there. But Josh Wah is a very particular hockey player where he kind of does need that supporting cast around him to allow him to get those points. And I'm not going to go out there and say that he's not talented, it's just there's a very different reason as to why Josh Wah is producing points than there is a guy who is just sheer heart, soul, determination, sweat, and all in Xavier Simoneau, who has worked so hard for this opportunity. But at the end of the day, I mean, you still have 2 Habs prospects that are the top scorers in the QMJHL. And that's a pretty good thing. it's something to get excited for. Even if they don't make the league one day, even if they just become AHL Laval Rocket full-time guys, there still is an ability to look at these players and say, yeah, I'm excited. Josh Waugh is 18 years old and he's leading the QMJHL in points. How cool is that? Talk to me in the comments, what do you think about these Montreal Canadiens prospects? What about my critiques of Waugh? Is that fair? Like, I know a lot of people are super hyped up about this guy, but there's a reason he slipped to the 5th round. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.